Welcome to Bias Design. Today I'm going to show you a time lapse showing you the full process from sketch to render. Check it out. Let's get it cracking. This will be a video that takes a look at the whole process in general, so I won't really focus in on design too much. But I will talk about this little doodle that I started off in. You'll see it becomes sort of a GT40 Shelby Daytona Coupe inspired sketch that's developing here. I gravitated to the sketch. I felt it had a little potential to go further and render it, so I referenced the Cobra Coupe and borrowed the GT40's proportions. And you see I begin here with the process of actually rendering it. The sketch is not really clear. It's just kind of a doodle still, and you'll see I spend a lot of time with cleaning it up. Sketches look better when they exaggerate attitude, so I wanted to emphasize the fast back gesture and pronounced fingers of my reference, and also the stance. I wanted to have it a really sporty stance. That's important. When I say stance, I'm talking about the way your body sits on the wheels and tires. And you see I'm laying in the base color here for the body color, and then in the black areas I just lay in the black and I turn down the opacity so I can still see my lines. And you'll see I'm cleaning up the edges, because from that point on I just would use that layer of the body color as a mask, and so you want to keep the edges really clean. And so I put in some red for the highlights, and then I do my reflections on the very top layer. So that's like a solid white that I'm using, and I'm using just a pen tool, so it's like just a solid brush, solid stamp. And then I turn down the opacity of the layer to about 15-12%. I'll do videos later of going more in depth of how to more of a how-to tutorial video. This video I just really want to generally talk about proportions too. I mean, setting up the proportions for a car like this, like a GT class car. Typically, well, what I did is, I took some, you could take measurements, just kind of like use the tire size as a measuring tool. So in a dead side view, you would take like the wheel size or tire size and see how many fit in between the two. And like on a GT40, it's like, I want to say like 3.25, or maybe just 3 tire size. And then the height is like a wheel and a half, or a tire and a half. So those are like going to help you to get to a more realistic visualization of what you try to do. So right now I flipped the car. I would suggest that you flip your drawing. The more you flip it, it's better, because you could see your drawing in both reverses. It should look good in both views. Sometimes our brains are trained to only look at something for so long in one view, and it starts to look good to you, but when you flip it, then you can start seeing the imperfections. That's the trick that designers do. We often flip our sketches. Back in the day, you would flip the vellum, and today you just flip your canvas and Photoshop it. So back onto the sketch. At this point, I'm going in with the lines and getting the door cuts in. Also, I'm putting in the tire treads right here. That is just a airbrush. I just airbrushed the white over the black, and I'm actually erasing for those tread marks. I do a lot of erasing. If it's just white on top of black or anything, you don't really have to do a black outline. You can just erase where the white is, and it'll look like a black line. So that's a way you can consolidate your layers by not creating so many. Yeah. So You know, another thing is wheels. Wheels are so important. These are some suck wheels I got on here right now. Oh, so I start to put on some better wheels. They still suck, but when you do the inside of the car, it lightens up the car. When you can show some transparency, it always helps. I recommend, if you got a really hand-drawn looking sketch like this one, to have hand-drawn wheels. Some people use rendered wheels, like CG wheels. I've done that in the past. I still do. It's just quicker. Okay, so now just going in with the Shelby stripes, and I think that's a cool little added racy look. And I'm adding some texture to give the sketch a little bit more atmosphere. So I just take an airbrush and turn on the texture nib, and then just, you know, lightly brush over some areas. Don't do it too much. Reflection, again, you want that on the very top layer. You want it to be like 12%, and you're using a solid white to do that. So it's like, you want a really sharp edged tool stamp. You don't want to airbrush. And then that's just, you know, how do you know where to put the reflections? That comes later in the tutorial. I won't go too deep into that, but generally you just want those reflections to lay on the radii and the fillets of your surface. This is me just going in with the wheels and cleaning it up. But that's the thing. When you're rendering, you gotta know what are you trying to achieve, to kind of gear yourself to how much time you should be spending on trying to clean up versus how much time you should be spending on sketching, designing the car. So I'm just trying to really, I wanted to do something sketchy. I'm not, first of all, this is Sketchbook Pro. You do have the curve ruler tool, which I use when I want to do clean curves, like you just saw here. Like these were all, you know, it was just a repeated stroke from a curve ruler. So I'm going in, getting the door lines right, making a lot of changes. Now the carbon fiber is an easy technique, as you saw. But when you put down the stripes, you gotta make sure that they fall on the highlights and they fade away as they go away from the highlights. See here, I'm doing the spoiler. Spoiler was in the original sketch, but I chose not to sketch it till the last, because it is something that it's an add-on, and you do want to get all your lines to flow through the sketch. I'm gonna be showing you some old tricks that, you know, it's like, wow, once you hear them, you can be like, oh, that's simple and easy. You know, it's a lot of stuff that's just, it's tricks. It's all illusion. So please subscribe and support me and grow with me, because I'm going to be learning too. And then I'm adding some atmosphere with the texture. And with the added details and touches, that's going to conclude this sketch. I want to thank you guys for joining me, and also I want to thank Autodesk for their support on this video. If you liked the video, please subscribe and give me a like. I would appreciate it. Thank you. See you next time.